go. Football today right here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Joe Lisi, and we got a wonderful show for you over the next 2 hours to set you up for Divisional Round access, Joe. 2 games today, 2 games Sunday, and away we go. Super Bowl. You can see it right in the distance,
Oh,
Joe.
Donnie, the cream will be rising to the top after this weekend. It should be. I mean, this is it. Last 8 teams remaining. We'll see which ones are standing at the end. But 2 great games today, 2 great games tomorrow. You know, contrast in styles, you could say. We saw a rematch of this game, San Francisco-Seattle, last game of the regular season that allowed Seattle to have the #1 seed. Is Sam Darnold 100% healthy? And can potentially Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills make a statement against the #1 team in Mile High? We'll see how it plays out later.
By the way, ratings taking a big hit because the Eagles are out of it, Joe. Do you agree with this? You
agree? You and I haven't worked since last weekend. But
was there a best bet given on that game last weekend at this desk?
Best bet for the
Eagles game. You, Kev? Anybody best bet in that game?
Well, best bet for Saturday was the over L.A. Carolina, so that was good. But I think the best bet on Sunday, I don't know. It had to be a total. It was probably one of the total in the late game. That's what it was. L.A. and New England. But pitiful performance by Philadelphia. Yeah. We talked about it all week. The lack of consistency, lack of identity, not closing and showing the killer instinct, and it's a main reason why they're on the outside looking in and home for the playoffs. But off-season changes, a lot of news surrounding A.J. Brown. He wanted out. Potentially Mike Vrabel and the Patriots that play tomorrow. So, again, styles make fights. The Eagles didn't take it to the 49ers. Well, hopefully both of these teams today that win will do it in dominating fashion.
By the way, Wild Card Weekend, Joe, was sensational. Like, forget about the handicapping or the gambling or if you made any money. Just watching it viewership-wise, I thought it was spectacular. A lot of these games come right down to that final 2-minute warning where teams were taking the lead in the final 2 minutes and winning football games. For me, Joe, we sat at this desk last Saturday. My best bet was the Green Bay Packers. I was partying last Saturday night at halftime, and by the end of it, I was broke.
And I was watching those tweets. I
Come on,
street ball, because I was on the Bears in that matchup. And it's just amazing. The cardiac kids, Ben Johnson and this team have an identity. But, I mean, the plays that were made, not just on the offensive side of the ball, but on the defensive side of the football to allow Caleb Williams and that offense to score points and get back into that game. You know, part of it was Matt LaFleur and the conservative nature, per se. And the other part was the Chicago defense making halftime adjustments and stepping up. And, again, I know it's the L.A. Rams. I know it's Stafford and McVay. But cold weather and a very hot football team playing with confidence. We'll see how that game plays out tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm fan. This is going to be a great weekend. Again, the games don't start today until 4:30, Joe, so a lot of things are going to happen. Spreads are going to move here. Injury information is going to come out, and that's where I want to start here. We don't have to get into a handicap. We got a long way to go in a couple of these. The Sam Darnold injury news, Joe. The oblique injury for a quarterback on a Thursday where you don't actually have a Friday practice. Joe, we're up in the air on what we're going to get out of Darnold.
It really is. It's interesting, Donnie, in the sense of this. He erased the critics for a week by winning that game and getting the #1 overall seed against San Francisco, right? Something he couldn't do last year against Detroit, and certainly in the playoff game on a neutral field in Arizona against Stafford in L.A., But again now, Sam Darnold, if he was 100% healthy, there were question marks potentially of him stepping up at home and dominating the 49ers to potentially live up to the hype. And now with the injury, I don't want to say this puts even more pressure on him, but it does put pressure on Seattle to answer the bell, certainly offensively. But that defense now, if he isn't 100% healthy, has to take over the way they did in San Francisco.
One of those two, Joe, and again, we're going to spend a lot of time on that game. It's the 8 o'clock game tonight where you just take a look and say, you know, am I going to have to wait till game time or just before the game to see if he's actually throwing the football in pregame and to see how that's going to line up? That's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, Joe. Game number 1 today, though, the Buffalo Bills and the Denver Broncos. All week long, we saw that 1.5-point favorite here towards the Buffalo Bills. Late in the week, we saw the money surge coming in here on the Denver Broncos, who now is the Broncos, despite Joe only getting about 30% of the tickets, the favorite now against the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, and I think they should be. Again, this is a rematch of last year. Denver jumped out 7-0 on a Bo Nix touchdown, and it was all Josh Allen and James Cook in that offense in the second half. They pulled away and won by double digits. but they deserve to be favored. They're 8-1 at home. Their only loss came after they dominated Green Bay. They did lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars 34-20 as a 3.5-point home favorite. But this is a team that has stepped up at home, Donnie. The 8 wins have come by an average margin of victory of 10-plus points per game, and they just take care of business. And when you look at now Buffalo, it is back-to-back road games. They got through Jacksonville on a limited wide receiver core, and that was all Josh Allen. But they're going to need to run the football much more consistently. They only averaged 3 yards per carry. Going up against that defense. And I know the secondary is better potentially statistically than the front seven, but you're going to need a better effort out of James Cook today.
Love it. Excited for those 2 games. 4:30 and 8 o'clock they're going to start, Joe. Some of the hottest news topics of the week here coming down from the NFL was the coaching moves. The coaching carousel's out there, and it looks like when we started the week, no Tomlin for Pittsburgh, no Harbaugh for the Ravens. Harbaugh looks like he found a home in New York. We're just, Joe, it's got to, signing on the dotted line is a big deal. It's not dotted
Donnie,
yet. Come on.
Verbally agreed upon, but not signed. The ink isn't settled yet. Now, we just read a report from Adam Schefter saying that they're hoping to get the deal done. They're moving forward. They want to potentially announce it on a Tuesday press conference. We've seen this before, though, and I've read reports potentially that it is Joe Schoen and that issue potentially of responsibility, how much input will Harbaugh have that maybe is holding back the final details of that deal. But if you're the New York Giants, I mean, you do now have a coach that could potentially get this young team to 8, 9, or even maybe 10 wins in a winnable NFC East, where we haven't seen back-to-back winners, obviously, since the Philadelphia Eagles, dating back to 2004, right? It was the first time that we saw back-to-back winners. So you would say that it's up for grabs maybe in 2026. But if you can't finish the deal, then where do they turn? Do they go to a coach like Stefanski that's rumored at Atlanta? We'll see, but $20 million, Donnie. He better hit the ground running. This isn't a 6 or a 7-win football team in year number 1.
That is an expensive coaching staff the New York Giants are going to have next year. And also, he's 63 years old, so this isn't like, hey, we found our coach for the next 20 years. You're looking for that 5-year platform to put us back to respectability and then be able to hand off the baton and maybe hand off the baton with a Super Bowl trophy. If we flip it over to the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin, Joe, he wasn't fired. He stepped down from that organization, and now we're seeing, at least on some of the predictive markets, the favorites here, Chris Shula and Brian Flores. And by the way, Joe, Brian Flores yesterday was trading at 17%. He's up to 29% today. Some steam. Are they going defense, Joe? Again?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't shock me. Again, Brian Flores, I understand the off-the-field situation and the locker room perspective with Tua and how that situation played out in Miami. They wanted more of a players type of coach, and that's why they got Mike McDaniel. But just looking at the X's and O's and the schematics of what Brian Flores brings, he brings a physicality that, quite honestly, Donnie, Pittsburgh's defense, they might have looked it based off the name and talent,
on paper,
but they didn't do it and showcase that on the football field. And part of it was that they were an aging defense. They had 8 players over the age of 30. And the other part, I think, was that maybe, Mike Tomlin, to a degree, lost his fastball. And I think that was a big problem for this team moving forward. Now, if Brian Flores is the head coach, I think it's a great hire, but he still needs to get the right offensive coordinator, the right offensive mind to cultivate that young talent. And again, they're going to need to make some wholesale changes. More importantly, they need a quarterback for 2026. It's not going to be Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Chuck Noll back in the day in the 1970s into 1980s here. And then, of course, you had, Bill Cowher, and then you move on there with Mike Tomlin. They're not used to getting new coaches in here, but also one of the sticking points in for them is you like to get that younger coach, mid-30s here. We want you to be here 20 years as a Pittsburgh Steeler and grow with the organization. You take a look at Chris Shula. He's in his 30s, but also Nathan Shieldhouse is coming up as a big name here. He's trading at 18%, but Shula Joe right now is the favorite on Kalshi to get the job here for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I always want to go offense, but that's not the Pittsburgh Steelers' MO. It usually is defense, Joe.
It usually is. Now, Shula, with the ties to Don Shula being his grandson, obviously that pedigree and that lineage always helps. And, that's similar to what Pittsburgh likes to do with Cowher and Tomlin in-house, and I get all of that. But I would probably go, if it was me, Flores, just because of his mentality, his intensity, and what he can bring to that defense, I think would help them tremendously. But we'll see how it plays out.
By the way, look at us. We look tremendous on the set today. The energy is high here on a Saturday, 10 to 12 p.m., and away we go. We'll be right back.
or sell? Tua has made his last start for the Dolphins. Feels like Sam went easy on this one.
If I could be that crazy guy, was it Jim Cramer? Buy. Yeah, there's no way he's playing for the Dolphins again. After he said that statement, there was no way in hell anyway. But once again, new coach, new GM. I don't know how they're going to do the cap hit. It's massive.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
New York Giants. They fired their head coach, Brian Daboll. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
4:30 p.m. is our first action of the day today. Well, we're on the desk here. We're having fun, Joe. We're going to break these games down, see what happens over the final 4 games of the divisional weekend, which then leads us next Sunday into championship weekend, Joe, and then 2 weeks off into the Super Bowl in San Francisco. Let's get to an AFC battle today. It's going to be the Buffalo Bills taking on the Denver Broncos. We started the show by talking about where these line movements have been going, and it started out as the Buffalo Bills as the public favorite early in the week, -1.5. As we went later in the week, you see the graphic on the screen there, -1.5 now to the Denver Broncos, Joe, in a total of 45.5. Weather conditions for this game, 35 degrees, no precipitation, and winds under 5 miles per hour. It's perfect weather conditions. Two teams used to being in cooler temperatures. We'll tee it up today, Joe, 4:30.
Yeah, this is a really intriguing battle because there's 2 ways to look at it from the handicapping perspective. Josh Allen with the playoff experience, being Superman potentially, going up against one of the better defenses in the NFL, or Sean Payton, a Super Bowl winning coach with a team that's on rest, dominant home team that's 8-1 overall, and a rematch of last year that he had his first playoff game in Bo Nix, right?
Yeah.
And I think when you look at this game and you look at last week against Jacksonville, that team in Buffalo was much more experienced. They were ready for the opportunity. They seized the moment, not to take away from what Jacksonville was able to do, but when the game was on the line, they looked like an inexperienced football team, and the play calls with Trevor Lawrence put them at a disadvantage. And again, can Josh Allen do it and duplicate this in back-to-back road games against now a step up in competition where they don't have the coaching advantage, I believe. They certainly don't have the defensive advantage. What they have is the quarterback advantage and then everybody else. But it's going to take a Herculean effort for Josh Allen, Donnie. 250 and then maybe another 60 yards on the ground to potentially pull this game out.
Now, talk to me about this, Joe, too, because it used to be in the past, only a few short years ago, that we were lining up these NFL games in division round action, and 2 teams were coming off the bye. Now, only 1 team comes off the bye in each of the conferences, AFC and NFC. And again, the Denver Broncos are the #1 seed. We just talked about how tough and a hard-fought victory that was against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and you took a lot of shrapnel. 14 guys, Joe, on the injury report for the Buffalo Bills heading into this game, when the Denver Broncos looking to be fully rested, fully healthy, and at home, and a short price point here. Talk to me about that bye week and what that major advantage is this year.
Well, if you're talking college football, then it's a disadvantage, right?
Yeah,
because,
exactly, yeah.
Because there was only 1 team that came off the bye in Indiana and was able to cover and win in dominating fashion. In the NFL, it's a different animal. But I believe in this circumstance to have Sean Payton, a Super Bowl coach that's been here, now with a young football team that they got their feet wet last year, lost to this in Buffalo, I think they'll be ready and they approach it a little bit differently. And then here's the other factor. So Buffalo made some defensive adjustments last week, right? And they were able to basically contain Jacksonville's offense. They held them to 24 points. That was an offense that was averaging well over 30 over the last month of the regular season. Can they do it again against a much more physical team and a quarterback in Bo Nix that's mobile? A rushing attack with R.J. Harvey and a heavy offensive line. And again, they're going to need James Cook to be a factor in this game, and I just don't know if they're able to run on that front seven on the road. If they can run the football with James Cook, that opens up everything else. But again, it's like a patchwork wide receiver core. Curtis Samuel comes back. We scraped off Brandon Cooks off the street. He made some dividends last week. Keon Coleman with one catch. The consistency for Buffalo throughout the regular season with the wide receivers has not been there. And that is the main concern and main reason why I believe they're 1.5-point underdogs.
Yes, and I think it's right to view the Denver Broncos as the favorite. I was a little bit saying, oh, my goodness, man, that is a stone-cold Buffalo Bills line to open the week. Open up on the road against the number one team and still being banged up, and they're healthy at this point. The one thing I don't think we get a lot of respect for here is Bo Nix, because the understanding of Joe, well, Josh Allen's been there and done that before. He's been in the AFC Championship games. He just doesn't get to the Super Bowl at this point. So you figure he's going to be the better quarterback. But also, when you're looking at a game plan, it feels like the Denver Broncos can say, okay, Bo Nix, and if you haven't watched him before play, he manipulates the pocket. He's very good. Drake May, similar as a young quarterback, does same things, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But if you look at the Denver Broncos, you're not asking one guy to win this football game. You got a great defense here. You got an offensive structure that can bring everybody into play. When I look at the Buffalo Bills today, and you hear most people during the week, well, Josh Allen, put him on your back and let's go. That's hard to do, Joe.
It really is. And again, when you look at the playmakers for Denver, I just feel like they have an offensive identity.
Correct.
Like, you believe in R.J. Harvey, right? You know you're not going to expect R.J. Harvey to rush for 100 yards in the game, but he could give you 50 or 60. He could also catch the football coming out of the backfield. I do believe in their wide receiver core. If you watch Bo Nix going to Troy Franklin, it looks like they're back at Oregon. They've stepped up. Cortland Sutton is a pure number one and has stepped up in red zone opportunities now. They have two solid tight ends in Troutman, the blocking tight end, and Evan Ingram that has come on. And I just believe in this team a little bit more offensively than I do Josh. Josh Allen is fantastic. But again, expecting this team to step up in another road environment on a short week. They're not even playing on Sunday, Donnie, right? They're playing on Saturday after getting beat up in Jacksonville. This is a tough ask. Can Josh Allen do it? Certainly he can. But again, it's going to take 260, 265, and again, 45 or 50 yards on the ground with maybe one or two touchdowns, and him being that Josh Allen Superman to win the game. And even if that's the case, are we suggesting that Buffalo blows them out? Absolutely not.
Yeah. Figure it's going to be a close game either way at that point, but I know we put so much stock in Josh Allen, and maybe rightfully so. He's one of the best football players in the game, but I think Bo Nix is going to be up to that challenge today. And if you're just leaning on defenses, how do you beat the Buffalo Bills? Stop the run and put pressure on the quarterback. The Denver Broncos can do both of those things, and as Joe pointed out already, a mass unit at wide receiver. It's not like you have prime Stephon Diggs back there for Buffalo. No. Throw it up in the air and go get it. We'll see if that plays into it here. But talk to me about this, Joe, because a lot of the talk is at the quarterback position. It's going to be Bo Nix versus Josh Allen. You look at the props here, 210.5 for Bo Nix, Josh Allen 211.5. Bo Nix today, if I look at a clean concept for the Denver Broncos, he's probably going to throw it 35 times. He operates, you look at some of his completion games, Joe, 22, 23, 24, 25. He's very efficient from the pocket. I think Bo Nix has a solid game, but also Josh Allen for me, the 211.5. It can't just be Buffalo Joe goes on the road and runs the football. He's got to go over 211.5.
Yeah, you would think, right? Again, you're not – now, statistically, these are one of the top secondaries. Buffalo is very good as well, holding opposing offenses right in the area of about 185 passing yards per game. But when you look at the personnel for Denver – Bo Nix is just as mobile as Josh Allen. So if they're going to blitz off the edge and he steps up in the pocket, you might get Troy Franklin breaking. You might get Evan Ingram. You might get Cortland Sutton. And then R.J. Harvey coming out of the backfield. If we're looking quarterbacks, I actually like Bo Nix to potentially go to 225, 250 today, and I think he could throw 2 touchdowns easy.
And again, we're talking about good weather conditions, not snowstorms, 40-mile-an-hour winds, a pretty clean day there out in Denver. As we're going to switch it over to some prop bets here to take a look at, maybe some rushing props in this game, specifically from the quarterback position. We'll be right back after this short break.
or sell. Tua has made his last start for the Dolphins. Feels like Sam went easy on this one.
If I could be that crazy guy, was it Jim Cramer? Buy. Yeah, there's no way he's playing for the Dolphins again. After he said that statement, there was no way in hell anyway. But once again, new coach, new GM. I don't know how they're going to do the cap hit. It's massive.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
New York Giants. They fired their head coach, Brian Daboll. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Does this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Pro Football Today, right back at it. 2 games today. It's Divisional Round action. 2 more games on Sunday. Donnie Rightside and Joe Lisi breaking it down. We're in this Buffalo Bills-Denver Broncos game right now. Take a look at some of these prop bets from certain angles. We just took a look at the quarterbacks here. Viable, Joe. Not high numbers. Like Matthew Stafford's got a price point like 267.5. Both of these quarterbacks around 210 as a price point for their numbers. But maybe more importantly, Joe, looking at the quarterbacks from a rushing perspective as opposed to a passing perspective. Josh Allen listed at 36.5 rushing yards for this game. Bo Nix, 25.5. You know, we used to do some shows where we'd line up these games and just say, you know what, take the quarterbacks to the over and parlay them together. There's a legitimate shot Bo Nix gets 30 yards, and the same thing with Josh Allen, close to 40. No?
Yeah, I mean, if we did 50 on both, right, in a playoff
100
game.
on both, Joe. Why stop?
I always like the younger quarterback because, again, Bo Nix lost this game last year, and now he's in his building with the better defense and the opportunity to potentially take the game over with his legs. And that's not taken away from Josh Allen. I just feel like Denver's going to look to contain Allen in the pocket and force him to throw downfield, whereas Bo Nix, I think, might take more shots in the rushing attack because he might feel not more pressure, but he might play it at home. He might be a little bit more looser in that type of situation and break contain to put his team in a position to score points. So I do like Bo Nix. I think 40 yards or 50 isn't out of the realm of possibility. And an anytime touchdown for Nix has great value today.
I didn't take any rushing props yet in this game because I just want to see how it filters out throughout the day, Joe. But if you look at James Cook, he's 75.5, which for the amount of carries you figure he's going to get doesn't seem like a lot. But we're talking about, again, last week didn't really get on track. This week going up against an upper echelon defense. R.J. Harvey, 56.5. If I gave you Cook or Harvey with their numbers respectively, who are you taking?
I did take Cook already, Donnie.
Okay.
I altered him to 90 just because, again, when you think about the game plan that plays out and you're like, okay, it's back-to-back road games. I've seen this out of Sean McDermott, especially last year when their backs were against the wall. They looked to run the football and basically sustain drives. Think about the Pittsburgh game on the road where they pounded the rock for over 300 yards. That was a big Josh Allen game on the ground. It was also Cook over 100 yards. Again, if we're just looking at the spread, and we see that Denver's now a 1.5-point favorite, and you are going to take Buffalo, I need Cook to get to 80-90 today.
Gotcha.
So out of both running backs, I think it is Cook over Harvey today.
Receiving props, Joe. You're getting pretty good price points all across. Cortland Sutton listed at 54.5 as the favorite for the Denver Broncos. Khalil Shakir at 51.5. A guy catching a little bit of steam earlier today, Joe. Brandon Cooks was around 26.5. He's up to 29.5. Those secondary options, Pat Bryant, 34.5. Dalton Kincaid, 37.5. Where are we going today?
All right, so I have a Donnie bet. You're going to love this
Come on,
one.
let's go.
All right?
Come on. Keep me
Okay,
up.
so you know me about history, right?
Yeah.
I never forget.
I was a history major. Go ahead.
All right,
Okay.
so I never forget. So last year when they won this game, it was Curtis Samuel in the playoffs with a huge day. He scored against Denver, also scored in the championship game.
31-7, too.
Yeah, also scored, though, in the championship game against Kansas City in the touchdown.
Yes.
So Josh Allen trusts Curtis Samuel, right? I know he went to Kincaid and he went to Brandon Cooks last week. But Samuel, right? Off of IR today, you know what is on DK? You want to know what it is? Half a yard.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up.
Donnie, come on. A half a yard, Donnie? I mean, look, you don't have to alter, but how do we not bet this today? I already took him for an anytime touchdown because I know Allen trusts him in red zone opportunities. If we're looking tight ends, I do feel it's Dawson Knox over Kincaid. Dawson Knox had the big touchdown, not touchdown reception, but big reception, 18, 19 yards in the fourth quarter to put them in a position in playoff games. Knox always seems to step up. So I'm going Knox.
Yeah.
I'm going Curtis Samuel on the Buffalo side. And I'm going on the Denver side. I'm going to go with Evan Ingram, my guy. I think he finally breaks out with a huge performance.
Like, I saw that price point, and, like, it's almost an auto bet that you have to have. But you go look at Samuel's numbers. They're not very good, but also you have to understand this. He's not coming back to a stacked wide receiving room.
No!
Like, if he has 10 routes that he runs, you're asking for one 11-yard catch, and you blow it out of the water at that point.
Give me a slant on a fourth down.
If you take him to get 50 yards, I think you can retire today, Joe, at this point.
Let me be honest.
Mm-hmm.
If Josh Allen is in a tough spot and they bring out, let's say, third down personnel.
Yeah.
And I know Keon Coleman's been hot, but he doesn't trust Keon Coleman.
He does not at all.
The way he trusts Curtis Samuel. It's just, he went back to Gabe Davis, somebody that he trusts. I'm just saying, like, he goes to the veterans in a critical spot, and with a half a yard, Donnie, it's too good to not pass up.
I had Thielen for 12.5 in Monday night's game.
You know what? I had him for 40.
Yeah.
But I had him 20 and 40.
I said, he's got to get at least one, but Curtis Samuel, Joe, a rocket screen for 1 yard. We have to be.
Okay.
It's got to be added in there. You got to put the props up there. I mean, because if you go through the entire game and he doesn't get a catch, how about this, Joe? Rocket screen, one catch, minus 1 yard. Like, what are we doing out here at this point right now, man? So I think that's agreeable. Also, the touchdown market, Joe, Kincaid and Knox, plus 310, plus 460. Give me one of the tight ends.
I like
Buffalo.
Knox. I do. I think it is Knox. Kincaid last week. I'll go back to Knox. He's a big-time receiver with Allen in the playoffs as well.
We are just getting started right now. That's one game down here, Joe. We're going to hit this game throughout the remaining parts of the show, but also the focus goes on to the Pacific Northwest. It's the Seahawks and the 49ers. Injuries? Come on back and find out.
Buy or sell. Tua has made his last start for the Dolphins. Feels like Sam went easy on this one.
If I could be that crazy guy, was it Jim Cramer? Buy. Yeah, there's no way he's playing for the Dolphins again. After he said that statement, there was no way in hell anyway. But once again, new coach, new GM. I don't know how they're going to do the cap hit. It's massive.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
New York Giants. They fired their head coach, Brian Daboll. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Pro Football Today, game number 2 tonight. That's an 8 o'clock start. By the way, did you know, Joe, both number 1 seeds are in action today, rested and ready, so we believe, against teams that are much more banged up. When we talk about banged up, it's usually most important, Joe, at the quarterback position. Sam Darnold, out of nowhere on Thursday, get an alert. Oh, no, oblique injury. One of the worst case scenarios you can have. He left the practice field, went in to get treatment. He swears he's fine. Listed as questionable. All eyes on the pregame warm-ups, Joe. So as we start to analyze this game, which we will, give me your first thoughts before we get into the game itself on, you had a bye week. You're supposed to be healthy. Your quarterback is injured?
Yeah, the black cloud could be following Sam Darnold.
Back to Sam Darnold.
Darnold, yeah. That's how they call him in New York. Sam Darnold?
Yep.
When he was with the Jets. But, look, if you're Sam Darnold and you're 85% healthy, you're getting out there. Again, now, the only way he's not under center today is if he can't turn it all and get any torque on the football. You have to come and play this game. It's in your house. You beat this team 13-3 in San Francisco 2 weeks ago. Your defense took care of business. They're now minus another weapon in George Kittle. Sam Darnold needs this. Not just for his football team. He needs this for his psyche to get through this game, play well, and at least give this team some hope that they can win an NFC championship. He comes out today, Donnie, and he doesn't throw for 200 yards. He turns the football over, and let's just say they grind out a 17-13 win. He now has even more pressure next week in the championship game because nobody's going to back Sam Darnold at a big spot.
You're right. The interesting part about that, too, is, again, like, it's not early in the week, but there's a lot of, like, shroud of secrecy around it. Like, Darnold actually took to the mic. He's like, I'm playing in this game. But then, like, behind the scenes, like, oh, we'll see how he's going to work out pregame and see how it is. Now, understand this. We're going to have the doc on a little bit later. Like, there's got to be some medication that says, hey, you know what? You're not going to feel that abdomen throughout this game. Go out and let it rip. But I also believe at the same time, he doesn't have to throw for a ton of yards. This isn't a high-flying machine on the San Francisco 49ers. You have a ground game. You got solid wide receivers. You can make this work, but it's just a worst-case scenario. Now, understand this, Joe. Let's play it into the point spread and where it's been. 7.5 throughout the week, but once we got the Darnold injury, it really didn't move at all. Like, we're seeing 7s on game day. The quarterback could be impacted with an injury, Joe, and we're still at 7.
Yeah, that is intriguing when you think about it, but how much is the Kittle factor? How much is the fact that they're going on the road? Right? Yeah. It is back-to-back road games, and now you're minus one of your best weapons. It's got to be Jake Tonjes to step up and potentially take over that duty. And again, as good of a victory as it was against Philadelphia, it wasn't clean, Donnie. I mean, DeMarcus Robinson with a huge performance. If I would have told you at the start, it wasn't McCaffrey, it wasn't Juwan Jennings, it wasn't Kittle, it wasn't Purdy throwing for 300 yards, it was DeMarcus Robinson that stepped up and won the day for your team, you'd say, really? It wasn't even Kendrick Bourne that was used with Mac Jones throughout the regular season. So, again, can they take that game plan that they went into Philadelphia with, and can they duplicate that and replicate that against potentially one of the best defenses in their house again? No. They're going to need Brock Purdy, in my opinion, to throw for 275 today. Open it up, jump up early, get a little momentum, and then hope that Sam Darnold implodes because of just being Sam Darnold. And again, I do like the over in the game. I know you think a lower scoring game, but I think because of that fact that if you're looking at San Francisco and Shanahan, they're going in saying, hey, Darnold's the number 1 seed, but we have potentially the Super Bowl winning quarterback or Super Bowl quarterback in Brock Purdy. I got to put the game on his shoulders.
Yeah, you're right. Like, the way I appreciate the way you handicap games, because it does go against the grain a lot. Because most people, including myself, looking at this game, I think it's going to be a little bit slower. But the one part, Joe, I probably would have agreed with you before is when I'm just trying to play these games out paint by numbers. Like, early in the week, I still thought it might stay under. But if I have a quarterback that's banged up on one side with an unbelievable defense, and we know there are no big plays that should be happening for the San Francisco 49ers on offense. Like, you saw them hit a couple against the Eagles. You take that away, now we're looking at 3 plays, 11 yards, 3 plays, 12 yards, time moving off the clock, and a lot of really conservative possessions here. If Sam Darnold was 100% healthy, Joe, and we don't have any issues, and by the way, he might be 100% by game time. We just don't know. Because if Seattle does what they do, open up the passing game because, Joe, the Niners defense is wretchedly bad and injured.
Terrible.
If you say to Donnie, what's a low point for a healthy quarterback Seattle Seahawks team? It's 24 points.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to get something chased down for San Francisco. And, Joe, that's a low point at that point.
So I think, and you're right? If you're looking at the last regular season game, I don't think Shanahan goes in and say, we could play that style again.
Yeah.
We can't allow Seattle to dictate the tempo, shut down McCaffrey, and then all of a sudden get pressure on Purdy, right? If I'm Shanahan and I say, you know what, the only way I can win this game, you know what? Last team that has the football wins it. And that means that Brock Purdy, similar to what he did against Chicago, where, hey, the defense might give up 30 points, but at least I know Brock Purdy's in a rhythm. I would much rather do that on the road than play in the Seattle type of game, run McCaffrey, short to intermediate throws, 3 and out, and now I got to rely on that defense that can't stop anybody. We know they're not going to stop anybody as well, right?
Yeah.
So might as well try and score 30 and see last team that has the football wins it.
Yeah, Shanahan is a spectacular coach. There's no getting around that. And for me, being an Eagles fan, Joe, I thought the perfect matchup was the 49ers, a banged-up team with a horrendous defense and not many weapons on offense, and Kittle goes down. It's still big. Like, you can get through that game and manage it, but now you're coming into this week like, yes, Tanja's going to be my favorite guy. Wide receiver, Juwan Jennings, who really wasn't, viable even last week. Something has to change other than let's get after with Christian McCaffrey, give him 62 carries this game and slow it down. You already saw that, as Joe pointed out, 13-3 final. You couldn't move the football. And I was like, cool, we'll win by double digits anyway, so something might change. The weather conditions today in Seattle, we always have to look out for rain typically in the Pacific Northwest. We don't have that today, Joe. About 50 degrees at kickoff, no rain in the forecast, under 5 miles per hour winds. I want to ask you this question before we start to move over to the prop bets and take a look at some of those. What is your game plan for Kyle Shanahan? Because I think you're correct on this where, yeah, you want to get Christian McCaffrey involved. I understand that, but you still Shanahan's not the guy that's going to say, well, I got Brock Purdy, I can't use him. You used him against one of the best defenses in Philadelphia last week. You have to stay aggressive. There's no way, Joe, that they can figure, as you said, keeping the football away from Seattle and playing that game plan. You have to shake it up and shock the world by saying, I might throw 17, 18, 19 times in the first half just to see what you guys are doing on defense.
I agree, and I think that's how it will play out. I'm just looking, too, to see the last time, and I know history. When was the last time San Francisco lost in Seattle? Donnie, I think it was like 2021. They went on the road in December 5th, and they lost. I mean, that's 4 years, right?
Yeah.
So they've been pretty good in Seattle as a road dog, as a road team. They've been typically favored against Seattle. But I agree with you. I think the mindset and the philosophy of Shanahan is this. We're not gonna win a lower scoring game. We're just not built that way, right? The only way we win it is if we push the tempo and force the game on Sam Darnold where we get him thinking. Because, again, he is now the more consistent offense up until this point, but he has that playoff cloud hanging over him where Brock Purdy at least got his team to a Super Bowl appearance against Kansas City. We know from just a pressure perspective he can handle it.
Yeah.
We're still not sure if Sam Darnold can answer the bell. We'll see. If he comes out today, Donnie, first 2 drives, throws a pick, then what? Then what happens?
And by the way, also, we'll get into maybe a little bit later in the show, the future of Sam Darnold if he lays an egg. This isn't the 7th seed going on the road against an unbeatable foe. You're the 1 seed at home supposed to be rested, and you get injured, and it's not like you're coming into the track record of I play really well in big games. He doesn't have that. But let me ask you this question, because we did have the 7.5, Joe, out in the landscape this week. It's now 7 right now. As we sit, let's call it 10 hours from kickoff. It's hard to go through a 7, Joe. I think we're seeing 6.5s blinking this afternoon. I do.
Well,
I really do.
If that 6.5 comes in, now I already read a report yesterday that somebody put out, and I say take it with a grain of salt. It's the most bet team the Niners are this weekend. Now, was part of that the Sam Darnold news that came out. People wanted to get to 7 before potentially maybe 6.5s creep up into the market. But to get 6.5s, you would need reports that Darnold isn't 100% healthy. Right, and if he's already come out and said that he's playing in the game, that's one thing. but is he 100% healthy? We'll hear it from Doc. Doc will know, and then after that, once those reports come out in pregame, you might see 6.5 in the market.
And here's the thing, too, Joe. He might be fine in pregame. When you get out in the game, you got to let a 60-yard pass rip. Uh-oh, there he goes out of that football game. You never know at this point, which makes it tough as a handicapper. But we're going to get all of those angles fleshed out throughout this show, which includes prop bets coming up next on the night game tonight.
Buy or sell. Tua has made his last start for the Dolphins. Feels like Sam went easy on this one.
If I could be that crazy guy, was it Jim Cramer? Buy. Yeah, there's no way he's playing for the Dolphins again. After he said that statement, there was no way in hell anyway. But once again, new coach, new GM. I don't know how they're going to do the cap hit. It's massive.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
New York Giants, they fired their head coach, Brian Daboll. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Pro Football Today, right back at it on a Saturday edition. 2 games today, and as we said, starting at the 4:30 frame, and then ending at 8 o'clock tonight as that next game will start up between San Francisco and Seattle, which we're previewing right now, Joe. And the prop bets are up. Sam Darnold, his number's starting to crash down. He was around that 233.5 number early in the week, Joe. Did you know? I'm looking at FanDuel. Darnold, 219.5 now. Some people out there might be thinking he might not have a great day. Brock Purdy, 227.5. It almost feels like you're trusting Purdy more today, not because of the team, just because we don't think he's going to be injured today, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, Brock Purdy would be the quarterback for me. Now, report from Adam Schefter 36 minutes ago on ESPN.
Schlechter or Schefter?
Schefter.
Okay.
The real one.
Yeah.
He hasn't thrown a pass since he hurt his oblique on Thursday.
Come on.
The Seahawks believe but don't know that he'll be okay to start tonight. Backup Drew Lock took the reps the past 2 days and is ready if possible.
Oh, let's reevaluate. We need another segment now.
But why is it only 7? Now it's still 7. 6.5, 5,
like
4.
Joe, usually when you're starting, and I'm talking about an entrenched starting quarterback, not like, oh, he's an average starter for like a 3-win football team. Like, this guy started all year. They're the number 1 seed, and we're telling you right now, our starting quarterback might not play, and it's worth a half of a point?
Yeah, that's
What
crazy.
is that about?
That's crazy. Well, that what they're telling you is basically they don't believe that San Francisco's offense potentially could move the football on Seattle's defense. I disagree. I think you have to push a little bit of tempo. You can't go cookie cutter in this game and say, you know what, we couldn't run it in San Francisco. We're going to try and run it on the road with Christian McCaffrey in this spot. That's not the way to win this game. I'm sorry. The way to win the game is utilize a little bit of tempo, get Brock Purdy into a rhythm hopefully you jump up early and you put the pressure on either Sam Darnold or Drew Lock, whoever's under center, to match you at that particular point. I do not want to get into a lower scoring game if I'm San Francisco playing close to the vest, because I know my defense can hold in that situation. Think about it. We know, here's the thing, they couldn't shut down JSN. They didn't have an answer for Kenneth Walker or Zach Charbonnet in San Francisco to win the number 1 seed. They beat them up in the trenches. You can't have that again. You play that style, you're going to get blown out in this matchup.
You know who the third quarterback is, Joe, for the Seahawks? You screamed his name in this room behind us.
Today?
In about the past 2 years at another co-host. You screamed his name as he was stopped on 4th down. Is that enough for a hint for you?
Stopped on
Milroe!
No. That's right, Jalen Milroe. Maybe Milroe is the answer.
By the way, if we get word, and I'm glad you brought that up, because live information is key on this show that we all need to get out to the people. But if we're led to believe that this wasn't an injury they have any worries about, because he left the practice field Thursday, went inside and got treatment, like, well, why would you be like, you think tweak something like treatment should be like, okay, I worked it back out and I'm fine. I'm just not going to throw today. But if you're not throwing on Friday and you're like, I want to give it an extra day, Joe, that's not good. I'm sorry.
It's not. So what did he do? But how did he hurt the oblique?
Hey, look, 40-yard pass, let me just throw it out there. Ooh, something felt wrong here. Which that's, like, and I equate it to this, like, hamstring injuries are my thing. Like, I know about them. How many times a year professional, I'm like, I just tweaked it a little bit. No, you did. That's 2 weeks.
I'll give you a similar story in college. Garrett Nussmeier supposedly had an abdominal oblique strain throughout the regular season for LSU. He had 8 300-yard performances for the Tigers in 2024. Didn't have one, okay? Yeah. And that was playing garbage defenses, FCS opponents. He did not have one. He was lucky to get to 200 in games. So that just shows you if it is an oblique, and obviously it does depend on which side of the oblique. Throwing shoulder, non-throwing shoulder. Non-throwing shoulder is probably better, but we'll see. Again, if it can't hurt to hit the under in this game, right? For Darnold, especially if he's not going to play.
But again, you're almost betting on this game because you're trying to get him before the game. That's why I like the under even more. But understand this though, like Drew Lock comes in, he's boom or bust. He's throwing 2 touchdowns and 2 picks, Joe. That's what I mean.
Yeah, he's horrible. For the New York Giants, I mean, with a garbage defense against the Eagles last year, he couldn't get a touchdown, and they were playing prevent the whole time. So. Does he have good receivers? Yes. They're going to need JSN to be JSN. Barner, I think, is an option today. I think Shaheed has life. Again, he's the burner. If you feel that San Francisco is going to lock down JSN, the underneath route should be open for
I'm with you on that. And I like the point of process that we're going to start to pick up now. Like Zach Charbonnet, receiving yard showed 9.5. Kenneth Walker, 12.5. You talked about Barner, 28.5. Rashid Shaheed, 23.5. Now, it's a shame that Shaheed hasn't really been brought into that offense because he's a deep play threat. But, Joe, if we're taking a look at a quarterback that might be compromised to throw deep, that's rocket screens, that's more catches for the tight ends, for the running backs, as opposed to I got to put a lot of torque on a 20-yard deep out from the opposite hash mark. So I don't know where. And again, this comes to it. Like, this is a night game tonight. We have all afternoon to process this information as we go through it live here, and that Darnold hasn't thrown a pass. That's not good. Now, could he get lubed up? Would mean take medication and ready to go and get out there? Maybe he can, Joe. But I got to tell you, like, looking from a San Francisco perspective, if you bet them early in the week, this isn't a good feeling.
No, it's not. It's not a good feeling, and it's a bad situation where if you're Seattle, you're saying, what is it? What's wrong with this guy? Like, this is, he took Minnesota down like a dart in the playoff game. And that was with the performance when he was supposedly 100% healthy. Now he's hurt. You have a defense that you just dominated San Francisco, but San Francisco is the veteran team, right? It's a tough handicap because my heart tells me San Francisco. I don't know if I can get there. I mean, I do lean San Fran in the game with the points, but I like the over even more. I mean, no Darnold would typically say under. I'm going the other way just because I think San Francisco then says, you know what, we have to play up-tempo. We have to put the pressure on Darnold, and more importantly, Drew Lock if he's in there.
Look, you know who I don't want in this game now? Jackson Smith and Jigba. Like, he was in the 90s, Joe. He's now down to 89.5 because you're hearing the reports like if you need 7, 8, or 9 catches to get to around 100 yards with an injured quarterback, I don't know if you're just going to get that volume here. Now, again, we are playing this off as if this is the doomsday scenario for the Seattle Seahawks. You might see in warm-ups, hey, watching Darnold, he's letting it sling out here, and you get a little more confidence back. But also you understand that same thing when you work out, hey, I'm coming back from a hamstring injury. Joe, how many times do you see like, hey, ran 3 routes in the first quarter, look great. Oh, no, second quarter pulls that hamstring again.
Yeah, and here's the other problem, too. If he overcompensates and he gets hit, what happens then in
Correct.
that type of situation? You injure a rib, you don't even know. So that is the concern right now for Seattle. Again, monitor it, see how it plays out, or if you don't want to take a shot pregame, watch it from the first quarter in an in-game perspective.
Saturday Morning Crunch coming up next. We're going to give you some of those best prop bets that you can take a look at, but also information is king. The more we get, the more of this live information, we'll give it to you, the people. That's why you watch Pro Football Today right here on the SportsGrid Network. It's Joe Lisi, it's Donnie Rightside. We'll be back after this short break.
Buy or sell. Tua has made his last start for the Dolphins. Feels like Sam went easy on this one.
If I could be that crazy guy, was it Jim Cramer? Buy. Yeah, there's no way he's playing for the Dolphins again. After he said that statement, there was no way in hell anyway. But once again, new coach, new GM. I don't know how they're going to do the cap hit. It's massive.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
New York Giants, they fired their head coach, Brian Daboll. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Pro Football Today on a Saturday, Joe, means one thing. We're here to win some money. We're here to have some fun. We're here to break down games and give the people a little crunch action on a Saturday. And some people might say, like, hey, what does that actually mean? Saturday morning crunch, Sunday morning crunch. Well, it's best bets, man. We should give these out. We want to give you prop bets that make a lot of sense. 3 per person, which means a 6-pack, Joe. Goal, of course, go 6-0, but at least 4-2 for the people, right?
Yeah, at least 4-2. We have to. I think I was 2 out of 3. I think I got there last week.
I think Kevin was 0-3 last week. I don't know that for sure, but I'm just putting that out there, so I don't know. So, yeah, we'll just put that out there. I don't know. I didn't check. I don't even know what he had. But just people in the back told me that. He is the best here. But now it's time for these bets here, Joe. I'm going to start with you. Saturday morning crunch action. Give us 3 wagers today on prop bets that the people will love.
So I'll start with the early game. We talked about Curtis Samuel, half a yard. I mean, I have Curtis Samuel anytime touchdown.
1 catch, Joe.
1 catch, a half a yard. Donnie, it's too good to be true. But look, the only time I lost on a half a yard was when Cooper Kupp last year was playing against San Francisco.
Yeah.
And remember, he started with like 50 or 60, and they had him down to a half with a whole fourth quarter, and he didn't get there.
How about this, Joe, real quick on that wager, just looking at it now? It's actually at minus 105 now. Like, they're begging you. It's half juice at a half yard today. Everybody's got to be on that.
Yeah,
you have to be on
that. So Curtis Samuel, who caught a touchdown in last year's playoff game against Denver and against Kansas City, I think could step up. He's coming off IR. Josh Allen likes him. Half yard, I think, is doable. Late game, I mentioned Rashid Shaheed, 23.5. I think he could get to 50. He's got 5-1 number to get to that number. He's the burner, especially if it is, let's just say, Drew Lock.
It might work to your favor if it's Drew Lock.
Because they never go to the number one. They have a better relationship with the tertiary receivers. So if Drew Lock is in there, I like Shaheed at 23.5, and then Juwan Jennings on San Francisco. This could be one catch. He got over this number last week, but the problem with San Francisco and a lot of these teams, they go to the number one early, a la Pittsburgh, DK Metcalf, 2 receptions, 42 yards on the first drive. Yeah, Nico Collins. I mean, he got hurt, but they still never dialed it up. It was always the secondary options. You can't go secondary if you're San Francisco today. You got to rely on Juwan Jennings, you got to rely on CMC in the receiving game. That's what got you to this point. So those are my 3. Shaheed, Samuel, and Jennings over their total.
Yeah, it flows really well at that point. Again, Shaheed, and we say, well, what do you mean, Don, if your starting quarterback is down? Why would you like, Shaheed more? It's clear that he's not a go-to guy, per se, for Sam Darnold, which could change. Locke's got a big arm. This kid can get downfield. We'll see if that makes a difference if he actually plays over Sam Darnold today at some point. For me, Joe, take a look at my Saturday morning crunch. I'm going to start with Bo Nix. And I like him over 210.5 passing yards. Sometimes you look at the passing yard numbers and say, well, that's the correlation. That's all I'm going with. That's not necessarily what it is. For me, I just want opportunities, Joe. If I look at last week's game, or 2 weeks ago, I should say, against the Chargers were dead and buried in that game. It was a 19-3 game. Didn't have to do anything in the second half. The 4 previous games, Joe, 38 passing attempts, 47 passing attempts, 34 passing attempts, and 38 passing attempts. In all of those games, at least 26 completions in those games, with the only caveat being 23 completions against Green Bay, but he threw for 302. Give me Bo Nix in this game. He's going to throw it into the mid-30s here with attempts. I think he can get at least to 210.5 yards here, Joe. Number 2 on my playlist here, A.J. Barner over 29.5 receiving yards. If we do feel that we might have damaged goods with their quarterback, short, quick throws make the most sense. If you're focused on the wide receiver position, well, the DBs aren't very good here already for the San Francisco 49ers. We know it's worse, Joe. The linebacking core for that team, for the 49ers. Barner should have an impact today. No reason to believe he can't approach 30 yards in this game. I like that as well. And then I'll keep it simple in this one. If the San Francisco 49ers are going to score a touchdown this week, similar to what you saw last week, at least one of those touchdowns is coming from Christian McCaffrey. I'm getting a great price, Joe, at -125. So usually you take the yards, receptions, passing, whatever it is. I'm going to go with a touchdown prop as part of my crunch here for McCaffrey. He's going to get a lot of touches. He'll get the goal line carries. He should score for me today.
Yeah, I mean, CMC needs to be a part of that offense. Had 2 touchdowns in the receiving game last week, so I expect him to step up. I do like Bo Nix over Josh Allen pass yards. I think Bo Nix could break out. And Barner as well. I mean, you'll see him to sell me something. Barner's a part of that. But I took him for an anytime touchdown as well, plus 175. I think it's great value. Again, if Darnold is not healthy, that means everything underneath. That means Barner. That means potentially Shaheed and some of those secondary options and the running backs as well. I agree with you. I'm not on JSN today strictly because of the injuries. Yeah. So I like Barner to potentially break out with 30 or 40 yards today.
And also, Joe, if Robert Saleh is a very good defensive coordinator, and it's easier said than done. But if you're coming into this game going like, oh, let's just not worry about JSN, he's going to kill you. So if you're figuring the coverage controlled into JSN, opens up Shaheed, opens up Kupp over the middle, and also the tight ends and maybe the running backs out of the backfield. So a lot of great information over hour number 1. Hour number 2 is coming up. Got a couple guests that are going to come on the show, which includes the doc, Joe. We got to see what the real deal with Sam Darnold is, but also we're going to start at the top of the hour, Joe, with some of those coaching carousels and see where they end. 9 spots open. Well, really, 8 spots now? Because we think Harbaugh is actually going to go to the New York Giants. Just sign on that dotted line. But a lot of things up in the air. We got you covered. It's Pro Football Today, Divisional Round weekend action. It's a Saturday. It's what we do on the SportsGrid Network. We'll be
Memphis is shopping John Morant. Yeah, no kidding. They should have shopped him 2 years ago and got rid of him. The problem is, where does he go? Like, what team is going to sit there and deal with a dude who, A, has not been healthy or reliable both on the court or off the court? Like, who's trading for John Morant here, Coach?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
New York Giants They fired their head coach, Brian Dable. Now, they did that during the season. Harbaugh is the favorite by a wide margin. Looking at Kalshi right now, Joe, 56% chance. 56 that he's the coach. The guy behind him is Kevin Stefanski at 25%. Is this look like it's just a Harbaugh spot? And if not, why is Harbaugh waiting until Monday? Does he want to see if something else opens up? But it looks like he's the heavy favorite and probably will get the job.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Aaron Rodgers' season and maybe career comes to an end. But I want to start by saying this. We always go to the losing team, it feels like, first sometimes. And I know we're going to spend a lot of time on Pittsburgh. But I think Houston's live, right, man? Like, I mean, if they're going to play that kind of defense next week, they're going to beat New England too.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Awesome offensively, and in reality, they weren't awesome offensively. In the first half, they just had the Lisi broken play. I hate to say this because I do not want to take away credit from everybody who went on the run that they went on. But I think it's fair, maybe you won't, to wonder if that result is different if Lane Kiffin sticks around and everybody else with this Ole Miss.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.